Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. It is this beautiful day on the fourth day of March. Welcome to another week. Welcome to another gathering of the saints here on this beautiful day. A little mug up while we come together. Wait for a few people to come along. Hey, John. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well up there in the Great North Woods. Okay, it's not that north. It's not that woods. I get it. I know, but you know, everything down here is like New Hampshire. Ooh, like so. Hope you're doing great. Good morning, everybody. It is a little bit warmer today, and then it's going right back. We're going right back into the freezer. So we have that to look forward to. On here we are at the beginning of March. So hope everybody's doing all right. Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. One or two more people coming along, then we'll get going. Everybody's doing all right today. Alrighty, alrighty, alright. How is everyone? Good morning, good morning. All right, let's get going this morning. It is the 11th day, the 11th. Where am I getting? It's the fourth day of March on this Tuesday at 11:11. It is Fat Tuesday, baby. It is Mardi Gras. It is this day what has traditionally been become a day of party and celebration before the Lenten time of feasting and fasting. But today is the day of feasting. So so good morning, everybody. I hope that you are feasting today as well. That that Mardi Gras. So we want to talk a little bit about Mardi Gras today and this tradition of how these things evolve, how these things come into being. You see, so Mardi Gras means what I just said, Fat Tuesday, and it was called Fat. It became called Fat Tuesday. Mardi Gras is French, so it was in French households, but it also was in English households as well, and others throughout Europe. That as people entered into Lent with Ash Wednesday being tomorrow, as people entered into the Lenten feast or the Lenten fasting time, that there were certain foods that they wouldn't eat. There were often butters and eggs, anything particularly fatty or anything really particularly delicious. There was often it was often be a season more of kind of vegetables and plain things. And so this so this kind of austere time was foreshadowed by what became Fat Tuesday. And nobody set out to create Fat Tuesday. It just became it was a natural outgrowth of the fact that people were going to fast and people were going to have much more simple and basic menus as they would go through the 40 days of the Lenten discipline. And so when they got to that point, but what they had is they had, just like you and I, they had a fridge that had all kinds of stuff that they weren't going to eat. So what did they do? They began to take all of the stuff out, and all of the deliciousness that they had in the Frigidaire, all the things that they had in the larder that they weren't gonna be able to eat for the next 40 days, or that they were committing not to, and they would cook it all up, and they would often the thing what they would do is they had eggs and they had butter and they had often something sweet, and so it was pretty simple at that point just to throw a little flour in and wow, you had a pancake. And so pancakes became the traditional meal for Fat Tuesday because often they were cooking up all of the fatty, delicious goodness that they were going to abstain from in the time ahead. Now, why are we talking about menus and who really cares? But and the reason I think it's interesting, and the reason I want to offer it to you today as this day of festival, this day of, you know, laissez les bons temps rouler, like let the good times roll, because this is what often people were doing in these households for hundreds of years, was letting the good times roll, having the pancakes, gathering everybody around, using up all the things that were going to be that they were going to abstain from in the days ahead. And what I find so compelling about this is the way that this evolved. That nobody said, you know, okay, we're going to have this time of fasting. So before the time of fasting, make sure you get all your, you know, you get all your partying in. Make sure you do all the, make sure you eat up all the stuff that's in the Frigidaire. Make sure you take care of all the stuff. No one set this up this way. It was simply what was created, and what became the way in which we the that the festival emerged. And this is the thing about, well, I think just life and faith life. You know, we're often told that, you know, we should you know, to hold a certain set of beliefs, right? That we need to believe, you know, we need to have faith in God. Like we need to have faith, that we need to trust God. We need to believe in the saving power of God in our life. All these kind of really things that kind of strike us from the earlobes up, right? Like they're propositional statements. But what we don't get about our faith life, and what we don't get, and what I think Mardi Gras becomes, and then the Mardi Gras and Ash Wednesday together become this beautiful image of, and particularly the way that they emerged out of being, not the way that, not because we, you know, anybody thought about it and set it up that way, but that what comes to our life is this idea of practice, and about what we do. And what we think is, well, the way we've been told is, if you adopt a certain set of ideas, if you get your beliefs right, get your thinking straight, then you will live into that thinking. And every piece of theological doctrine, every piece of understanding about God actually came to us exactly the opposite way. It came to us because we began to have this relationship with God, and the people began having this relationship. People met Jesus, and then people met Jesus in the resurrection, and then this began to have an impact on the way that they lived their lives and the way that they moved through the world. If you go to the book of Acts, the early church, what was profound about the early church was not that they had a particular set of theological beliefs. What was profound about the early church was that they were living in a different way because they had met Jesus the Christ, and they had been healed as a result of that meeting. Then on top of that, this guy called Paul comes along and starts putting understanding on top of that. Whoever the author of the Hebrews is comes in and starts putting theological doctrines on top of that. But it's all founded in how we roll, how we live. That practice actually becomes before a belief. And that when we talk about Mardi Gras Mardi Gras and Ash Wednesday are these beautiful images of the fact that just the way things work in our life is that if we're going to go into that knowing that we're going to encounter these different states in our life. We're going to encounter these states of abundance where things are rocking and rolling, and where things are great, and we are going to encounter states of Ash Wednesday where we are dust, and to dust we shall return. We're going to encounter these where we are going to abstain, where we're going to take out the things that may seem rich and beautiful, and maybe we'll take them out, or maybe, which is more often the case, they'll be taken out for us. But these alternating states, these states where we're up and we're down, and and things are great and things are rich and things are they come out of the living rhythm of our lives. And that Mardi Gras comes to us out of the living rhythm of our life, knowing that we are going into a time of absence. There is this way in which we naturally give birth and give expression to the good of letting the good times roll. And I invite you into that, and I tell you all of that because to invite you not just into the Lenten discipline and not just into eating a big old stack of pancakes tonight as a way of, because there are people who are going to eat pancakes tonight, but they're going to eat pancakes tonight because it's now become a tradition. It's now become a thing we do. And I'm not against eating pancakes. They're awesome, by the way. But I'm saying it's not because they're necessarily, getting rid of the butter and the sugar and the eggs that are in their house. It is because that it has become a tradition and a ritual. And what I want to invite you to today in this hour, as we step into our Lenten walk, as we get ready to, and even tonight, if you go out and eat some pancakes, or you do something fun, or you kind of engage in the Mardi Gras festivities, or even if you just watch a little bit of the parades online, whatever you do, or maybe you don't do any of it, but is remembering that the way we live and the way this rhythm of life that we have, the tide goes in and the tide comes in, and we are surrounded, and all the boats are floating and everything's good, and the tide goes out and we are left with nothing but muck and seaweed and emptiness. We're constant that these rhythms of the natural world are also the rhythms of our own life, that in all of them God is at work, at all of them. Our Father in heaven is seeking to bring us all good gifts. That we enter into the time of abstinence, and what it results is in our ability to have this time of abundance, and that these rhythms occur as a part of the divine design, as a part of the divine rhythm of our lives, as a part of the breath of our being, that sometimes we inhale, sometimes we exhale, that these things they're right down to our very biology. And that the thing is, we want to say, oh, the time of abstinence is bad, and the time of, laissez les bon temps rouler is the time that we really all want to stay in. But in fact, that every inhale must be followed by an exhale. That every heartbeat of contraction must be followed by an opening of the heart. And that is our rhythm, and that is our life, and that God is in each part of it, each part of the practical living of our days. And I don't care how much you feel like you're crushing it right now and you're getting everything right, or I don't care how much you feel like maybe everything's coming apart. I don't care how much you feel like you feel like your life is no longer your own because maybe there's something out of control in it. Because the wider reality of just the fact that Mardi Gras came into existence, the wider reality of what is simply this: that in the exhale and in the inhale, God is with us. That in the beating of the heart, in the compression and in the opening of the heart, in the good times rolling and in the dust and ash of death, that from dust you were created and to dust you will return, God is in it, and that God loves you, and that whatever season you may find yourself in, your Father in heaven is working in that season to bring you all good gifts. And that, friends, is why I love the emergence, the way this little season emerged amongst us. That no pope or no grand theologian decided that Mardi Gras would be a thing, but simply it has become something that has emerged because it mirrors for us the rhythms of our days and the rhythms of our lives and the rhythms of the divine and the resurrection in our lives that will bring us all good gifts from our Father in heaven if we will let him. All right, peace and grace to you, my friends. I hope you have a great Mardi Gras tonight, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.